Good morning, true crime and celebrity news. We're here today. Blaise, Tennessee versus Blaise Taylor. He is having a jury trial for allegedly poisoning his girlfriend Jade and unaliving her and the unborn baby. Let me get the thing pulled up. Okay, here we go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, good morning, Chief and Judge of the jury. Let the record reflect all of the jurors are here and present. If you will, at this time, stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn as the jury in this case.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will well and truly try the issues joined and a true verdict render according to the law and evidence, so help you God?
Yes. All right, you can have a seat. Okay. All right, the state will read the indictment.
Yes, Your Honor. Police court, counsel. Members of the jury, the indictment in this case reads as follows. State of Tennessee, Davidson County, count one. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023 in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation, did kill Jade Benning in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13-202, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count two. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023 in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation, did kill the unborn female child of Jade Benning in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13-202, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count three. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023 in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, did kill Jade Benning during the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate murder in the first degree in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13-202, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count four. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023 in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, did kill the unborn female child of Jade Benning during the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate murder in the first degree in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13-202, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Glenn R. Funk, District Attorney General, for the 20th Judicial District and filed with the Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk on March 13th, 2024. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Duran, Ms. Collins, how does your client plead to that indictment?
I'm not guilty.
Okay. All right, does the state here make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want to pay. Those are a few of Jade Benning's last words, heard by her very best friend, Jade Jackson. Words that she heard spoken to Blaise Taylor over the phone 20 minutes before EMTs would find Jade Benning pulseless. EMTs found Jade Benning face down, laying across her bed, not in her bed, across her bed, face down. She was pulseless. When they found Jade Benning, she had this pink, frothy liquid around her mouth, like a spit up. And the area where she had been face down on her comforter, it had that same pink spit up vomit on it. The EMTs did not even know that Jade Benning was 5 months pregnant. They rushed Jade Benning to Vanderbilt Hospital, and when she arrived at the ER, Jade Benning was dead. You will hear evidence and testimony this week that none of the treatment team at Vanderbilt's emergency room had that night of February 25th, 2023, just after 10 p.m. when Jade Benning came to their emergency department. You will hear the evidence and testimony that the blood sample that was taken in the emergency room at 10:31 p.m., the very first blood sample from Jade Benning, but the later testing that came back months later, the concentration of cocaine in her blood was so high, it was unlike anything the medical examiner in this case had ever seen. But it was higher than anything the entire medical examiner's office had seen. You will also hear evidence and testimony that the testing of that pink spit up vomit on Jade's comforter, that it also tested an outrageous level of cocaine. You will hear evidence and testimony from multiple different experts that the physical evidence in this case shows that Jade Benning orally ingested cocaine that had been dissolved in a liquid. You will also hear that Jade Benning was drinking a pink drink that night. Before any of those events happened, Jade Benning was a young 24-year-old, about to turn 25, young woman who was very happy to be 5 months pregnant. Jade Benning was not from the Nashville area. She's from Arkansas. She grew up there with her mom, Bridget, her stepdad, Lynn. That's where she met her very best friend, Jade Jackson, when she was just 6 years old. Jade went on to school. She was a competitive athlete growing up. She went on to school, but her dream was to be a chef, and she achieved that dream. She went to culinary school. She graduated, and Jade actually had family living in the Nashville area. Her stepmom and dad and her half-sister lived in the Nashville area, and her stepmom's brother owned a restaurant, and he hired her on as a chef. And she was so happy to be living her dream. She had a group of really close friends that worked with her at the restaurant. And that was early 2022. And then in August of 2022, Jade Benning's best friend, Isaiah Jackson, her very best friend growing up, moved to Nashville to go to school at Mary. They were back together again, and these two girls talked constantly, told each other everything. They were so incredibly close. And it was about that same time in August of 2022 that Jade Benning had been linked with Blaise Taylor on a dating app. They started trading messages, and in mid-August, they went out to one dinner at Stony River and went on a date. And they began a casual relationship. It became sexual. It was not a public relationship. They dated, and sometime in late September, Jade Benning became pregnant. Now, she did not find out that she was pregnant until November 2nd of 2022. And when Jade Benning took that home pregnancy test, the very first thing that she did was she called her best friend, Isaiah. She told her, and they started planning to figure out how they could get an appointment to make sure that that was in fact the case. And she confirmed that she definitely was pregnant. Jade Benning reached out to Blaise Taylor and told him that she needed to talk to him in person. And they talked. And then the next day they talked some more. Jade Benning reached out to her mom, Bridget, to her dad, Dennis. She told both of them. She talked to Isaiah a lot about it. She was happy. And on November 6th of 2022, she sent a message to Blaise Taylor confirming her choice to the ultimatum that he gave her. There were no more messages between them. Not any messages until New Year's Eve. Jade Benning went to her November 16th, 2022 ultrasound, and Blaise Taylor was not there with her. She began planning. She was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and she began planning to get a two-bedroom, and she just started doing all of the things that you do to get ready to have a baby. New Year's Eve, she didn't have to work that night, but she still went to the restaurant that she worked at. She went with her dad and her stepmom, and they were there with everybody at the restaurant for New Year's Eve. Blaise Taylor reached out to her on New Year's Eve. And after that night, they began speaking again. And the messages they sent back and forth, it was kind of trying to figure out what was going to be. Jade Benning ultimately expressed that she wanted a relationship with him. Blaise Taylor didn't go to any of Jade Benning's pregnancy appointments. She had 3 in February before she died. He didn't go to the February 2nd appointment where she was going to find out if they were having a baby girl or a baby boy. She asked him to go, and he did not. The week before February 25th, 2023, that day, it's a Saturday, earlier that week, Blaise Taylor went out of town on a work trip. And he came back early that Thursday morning, and Jade Benning wanted to see him. And they messaged, she went over to his house mid-morning for a little bit before he went to work, and she asked to see him that night. But he did not make that plan happen with her. And on Friday, she again wanted to see him. She went over and they went and ate at Waffle House. And she wanted to see him that night. And she messaged him. But he didn't return her message. Well, Blaise Taylor was messaging people that night. He specifically sent a message to Cynthia Winford that said, I love you, and I need you to love me back and be in love with me. That is the night of Friday, February 24th. Jade Benning asked Blaise Taylor again on Saturday the 25th if they could hang out and have a date night. And he agreed. And she told him to be at her house at 7 p.m., wear comfy clothes, she had something planned. And she had already been talking to Jade Jackson about what she was gonna do. She came up with an idea that they would do kind of like a sip and paint, not the sip because she was pregnant and she was not drinking any alcohol, but that they would paint and she would make dinner. She, the chef, Jade Benning, was going to make one of her specialties, chicken Alfredo. Now, Jade Jackson suggested that meal because it was her favorite. Now, Jade wasn't eating chicken, but she wanted the Alfredo. She suggested it, and that day, Jade even said, I can stop by and get some food. Because Jade Jackson, her best friend, when she was 6 years old, had never met Blaise Taylor, and man that she was having a baby with. And so that day, Jade worked early in the day, but she went home, she got everything ready, she had canvases, she had paint, she took multiple pictures of everything, she cooked the dinner, she took pictures beforehand, and about 7 o'clock p.m., Blaise Taylor came over, and they ate dinner together, and then at 7:30, Jade Jackson, she had been at school, and one of her friends that she went to school with, Keontae Jones, was with her, and they stopped by to pick up food. They weren't planning on staying. They ended up being there for about 30 minutes, and they talked to them. Jade got to meet Blaise Taylor for the first time. They did both notice that Jade was drinking a pink drink. They didn't drink anything while they were there. Then they said goodbye. Right afterwards, Jade starts texting Jade, talking about the cute interaction they had, and they have a couple text messages. And that's at 8 p.m. An hour and a half later is the next time that Jade Jackson would hear from her best friend. And she did not sound the same at all. During that hour and a half time period, Jade was very active on her phone. She took pictures. There's a picture at 9:10 p.m. where you can kind of see a progress of the painting project. And you see Jade's painting. And she has the words, love, that she's painted on the painting. These paintings were for the baby's nursery because she was having a baby girl. And you'll see the painting that she has that says love, hope, inspire, peace. And then the digital forensics expert from Metro Nashville Police Department will testify and explain that he can tell that Jade Benning not only was on Pinterest, but she actually searched. She was looking for inspiration for more words that were beautiful words of inspiration. So that's from 9:10 to 9:24. At 9:24, there are a series of 12 photos taken. The 12 photos are all pictures of Jade Benning and Blaise Taylor, and several of them have her painting in it. That last painting was at 9:10, and at 9:24, she has added words to the painting. She has added the words believe and beautiful and hope. Painted them on the painting. It's at 9:28 and 45 seconds. That is the last action that happens on Jade Benning's phone. That last 12 picture was deleted. And then at 9:29 and 27 seconds, Jade Benning's phone calls her best friend, Jade Jackson. And Jade Jackson will describe to you that her best friend was talking, and she wasn't talking to her. So much so, Nigeria immediately sent her 2 messages. Are you talking to me? What's going on? Because it was not normal. Her friend did not sound normal at all. She described her as sounding wavy, the way she was talking. She had known her since she was 6. She knew it wasn't, I'm not feeling well, something like, I feel sick. She described it that her friend sounded scared. Her friend was talking to Blaise Taylor, and Jade Benning said, "What did you do? I can't feel my legs. I can't walk straight. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. What's in your hand? Show me. Show me your pocket. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want the baby." She was repeating, "What's in your hand?" At one point, he responded back to her, "Nothing." During the 6-minute and 9-second call, Jade Benning is screaming out to her friend who's not responding to her. She hears her friend say to Blaise Taylor, "You're scaring me." And his response was, "You're scaring me." After 6 minutes and 9 seconds, Jade's phone disconnected the call. Right before that call disconnected, Nigeria, she was so confused as to what was going on. She merged her friend Keontae Jones into the call so that he could hear it. And at the end, Jade was trying to speak, but couldn't form words. He heard Jade, but couldn't make out anything that she was saying. That call began at 9:29 and 27 seconds. It was 6 minutes and 9 seconds long. At 9:50 p.m., EMT arrived at the patient, Jade Benning, and she was pulseless. Nigeria Jackson sped to her best friend's condo, and when she got there, Jade Benning was already in the back of the ambulance. They would not let her in to see her friend. She started jumping up and down so she could see in the little window, and she saw her friend, who was gray. Nigeria Jackson, she goes to Vanderbilt ER, and Blaise Taylor, he goes there too. He had called 911. She goes to Vanderbilt Hospital. She talks to the medical staff. She hears him talking to the medical staff, and he is not telling them what Jade said. She tells them what she heard her best friend say. The first officers arrive an hour later, and Officer Pfeiffer, he hasn't talked to Nigeria Jackson yet. He approaches Blaise Taylor and asks him what happened. Another officer talks to him, and then a detective talks to him, and when he talks to all 3 of those people, the scenario he gives is Jade started feeling bad. She threw up. I called my dad. My dad told me to call 911, and then I called 911. He tells Officer Pfeiffer, the first officer, that the person on the 911 call who had answered it told him it was an allergic reaction. You will also be presented with that 911 call. That 911 call where the operator says the standard, please give me the address of your emergency. He says, I don't know if Todd Donald said, I'm with my friend and she's having an allergic reaction. He goes on to tell the 911 operator that she must be having an allergic reaction to something she ate. He doesn't tell the 911 operator anything about what Jade Benning said. And about 6 minutes and 25 seconds into that 911 call, which he called his dad, 45 seconds before he called 911. It's a 30-second phone call. Now that's several minutes after the call with Nigeria ended. Not a ton of time, but 2 to 3 minutes after that call ends. Places a call to his dad, 30-second call. He calls 911. But again, he's told all 3 people, he later tells all 3 law enforcement. She threw up. I called my dad. I called 911. 6 minutes and 25 seconds into the 911 call, he tells them, I think she's thrown up. He never tells 911 that Jade Benning is his girlfriend. He never tells them she's pregnant. The doctors at Vanderbilt, they were able to return spontaneous circulation, which means they were able to get Jade's heart to beat again. But the damage that was done to her brain, she never regained any brain activity, and she was on life support. On March 6th of 2025, Jade Benning and her unborn baby girl on her 25th birthday, she was removed from life support. Dr. Erin Carney with the medical examiner's office, she performed the autopsy on Jade Benning and her unborn baby girl. Dr. Carney already knew about Jade Benning before she ever died. She had already been contacted about her case because it was very unusual. And on February 28th, 2023, she requested Jade's first blood sample, that it be retained and saved for testing. She performed the autopsy and she verified there was absolutely nothing wrong with Jade's baby. Had she remained alive, her pregnancy would have continued and she would have had a baby girl. Dr. Carney will testify and tell you that the cause of Jade Benning's death was acute cocaine toxicity, a level higher than anything she has ever seen in any overdose death. You will also hear from another witness, Miss Apple Denny. She dated Blaise Taylor her freshman year of college. It was back in 2017. She was a freshman in college and she may be pregnant. And she was not ready to be a mother at all. And she made the decision. He was with her. She made the decision to have an abortion. And Blaise Taylor went to those appointments with Miss Denny. They explained to her she had 2 options. And he was in those appointments, they talked about it. And she made a decision to have that abortion herself. Several months later, she will also describe to you a time when Blaise Taylor came to her in somewhat of a panic. And he told her that while they were on a break, he had slept with another woman, Xavier Lambert, and she was pregnant. And she was refusing to have an abortion. And Apple Denny will tell you that Blaise Taylor asked her if she would go to the abortion clinic and get the abortion pill so that he could put it in Xavier Langford's drink to cause an abortion without her knowing. Miss Denny told him no, and also told him that wasn't even possible. And she will describe to you that he then began talking about what else could he put in her drink that would cause an abortion. Jade Benning's last words. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want baby. After you have heard all of the evidence, we will ask you to return a verdict of guilty on all 4 counts of the indictment.
Opening statement on behalf of Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Your Honor. As we talked about yesterday, this is a very, very serious situation, as you know. And so again, I thank you. I thank you for coming back. I thank you for coming yesterday. And I thank you for taking very serious, and I know that because of the answers you gave us yesterday, this process in our judicial system. I too want to tell you the story of Jade Benning and Blaise Taylor. But as you can imagine, it's quite different. And you're going to hear over the course of this entire trial a lot of information. And if any of you are like me, it's easier to compartmentalize things so that as you hear the evidence, you can dump them in a bucket. And that way, at the end of the trial, a week or so later, it won't be so difficult to remember what you've heard. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about things before, think about during the incident, and after the incident. Think about things before the incident, and the incident is going to be February 25th of 2023. Before the incident, during the incident, and after the incident. It will help you. So let's talk about before. Before, I want you to know who Blaise Taylor was and who Jade Benning was. Blaise is the oldest of 2 children. He is the son of Eddie and Trooper Taylor. Blaise has a younger sister, Star Taylor. Blaise's father is a football coach, a college football coach. And I've since learned that living a football coach's life on that level takes you around several places across the country. And so they traveled a lot. They lived in a lot of different places because Dad worked in a lot of different places. And Blaise got his education from the University of Arkansas, where he graduated in 3 years with his master's degree in business administration. After that, he began working, and he ended up, after a few jobs, working for the Tennessee Titans as a pro scout. That is where, here in Tennessee, is where he meets Jade. But what's also important to know is that throughout Blaise's life, even when he played football, even when he was in college, he never drank and he never did any drugs. No alcohol and no drugs ever in his life. I want to now show you who Jade Benning is and was. She was a beautiful young lady. She was an aspiring chef. And she too was from Arkansas. And she moved to Tennessee after graduating from culinary school to become a chef and worked at Ernest's Hideaway Grill and Bar. But different than Blaise, Jade was involved with alcohol, and Jade was involved with drugs. And that is where they differ. But what they are alike, as you heard, just as Blaise was casually dating young women, Jade Benning was casually dating young men. And so that is who they were before the incident. Now let's talk about Blaise and Jade and their relationship. Blaise and Jade met on Hinge, a dating app, in January of 2022. They exchanged a few messages, but never really hooked up. It went into February of 2022 when Blaise reached out to Jade, but yet she never returned the message. About a month later, she returns the message and says, "Oh, I've been busy, but it's good to speak with you." And then they went dead for a while. They didn't talk again until August of 22. In August of 22 is when they actually met up. August the 10th, they met and they had dinner. And after that, they began a relationship. They began casually dating each other. But they were not exclusive. He wasn't exclusive with her, and she wasn't exclusive with him. You will hear that he dated other women, and you will hear that she dated other men. And they were both okay with that because that was the agreement that those two adults had come to. They had agreed that they would have a sexual relationship, but they would still date other people. And as adults, you will hear that that is what they decided to do. You will hear that they probably started having sex somewhere around August. Remember, they met August 10th. So by August 23rd or so, you will hear that they probably began their sexual relationship. So from August 23rd until November 2nd, they started dating. They would see each other. They would hang out. I believe that the restaurant where Jade worked was very close to Blaise's house, and it was convenient because of their schedules for Jade to go over to Blaise's house after she got off work. And she would spend the night there. He would get up and go to work in the morning. She would sleep late and get up and leave whenever she got up. Now you will hear sometime around November 1st of 22. Jade believes that she may be pregnant. And you will hear that she's having a conversation with Jade. And what they're trying to figure out is who the father is. And you will hear that they weren't sure if it was Blaise's child or if it was some guy named Des' child. And so they talked a bit and they talked about who she was having sex with the most. And it appeared that Nigeria thought that she was having sex with Bez the most. But apparently, you'll be able to hear that ultimately Jade landed on Blaise. And Nigeria agreed and said, oh, well, it must be Blaise's. And you'll hear that it is at that time that Jade makes the decision that she's going to tell Blaise that she's pregnant with his child. And so you kind of deduct, you'll be able to deduct that she did talk to Blaise around November the 4th. And on November the 4th, it is clear that she tells Blaise, this baby is yours and not Blaise. And you'll hear that it's true that Blaise, at that time, was not ready to be a father. With the woman he met less than 90 days ago, who was casually dating other people just like he was. And he did not want to go forward with the pregnancy. That's clear. He was 27, he wasn't married, he really didn't know her. And clearly he suggested alternative methods. And he suggested it to her because it was something that she had agreed to do with someone else in the past. But Jade wanted to keep this child. She wanted to give birth to Blaise's baby. And so what you'll hear though is that they had a difference of opinion and that they were at an impasse. And so clearly they had talked about it from November the 4th until November the 6th. Because on November the 6th, you will learn that it was Jade who told Blaise, clearly, there's no agreement that we're going to come to here, and I'm not changing my mind. So what I suggest is you go your way, I go mine. You don't have to be involved with the baby if that's what you want to do. I will go on and I will love this baby with or without you. My next appointment is on this day. If you want to be there, you can. But if not, this is the decision that I made. You'll hear that that's the decision that Jade made for herself. Now what's important is that after that, what you won't hear is that Blaise was forcing her, pressuring her, continuously calling her or texting her, trying to force her to abort this baby. You won't hear it. You will hear that from the moment she made that decision for herself and told him, you go your way and I'll go mine, that he did not contact her again. You will hear that he honored her wishes. You will hear that he gave her the space that she asked him. But then you'll hear that some time had passed. It would have been enough time to have passed to where she had passed the stage of where abortion would be a viable option. You'll hear that he told his parents, and he told his parents that he had met a young lady by the name of Jade. She was a chef, and he was possibly going to have a child. And what you'll hear is that he then at that time after making that decision to tell his parents, he contacted Jade on December the 31st. And she responded via text, I'm at work or what have you. And you'll see that on that very same day, she texted Nigella, her best friend, and said, you won't believe this. Because she had a missed call from Blaise. And then ultimately, on January 1st of 2023, they met up at a park at Jade's suggestion. She suggested, let's go to a park. And he honored her wishes again and met her at the park. And it appears that they sat in that park and they talked for almost 5 hours. And they had made the decision that they were going to try to get to know each other so that if the baby was in fact Blaise's, because Blaise asked for a paternity test, which made sense, that they needed to know each other if they were going to have to co-parent this child. And you will hear from Nigella herself that it was at this time that Blaise made every effort to do that, to get to know her, to participate. And so remember this is January 1st, so over the next month and a half, 3 weeks until February 25th, they dated, they saw each other, they hung out, they spent time together, and they were getting to know each other. Now you'll hear that Jade did have doctor's appointments, and she did want Blaise to attend. But what you'll hear is that she told him about one appointment, which was, in fact, February the 6th, I believe. And she was going to find out the gender of the baby on that day. And you'll hear that she asked Blaise to come. And Blaise said, I need to check to see what's going on at work. I don't know what's going on at work. And if I can make it, I will. You'll hear he didn't make it. But you'll also hear that the next appointment she had was about 4 days later, but it was for a blood test. It wasn't necessarily another actual visit, the monthly maternity visits. That one was not until March 9th. And by that time, unfortunately, she had already passed. And you'll hear that during this time that they were split, and when Blaise was dating Xavier, Jade, now knowing that she was pregnant, was dating other men as well. In fact, there were 3 other men that she was dating in December. And you'll hear that we know that for sure because she was sending naked pictures to them in December. And there were 3 men, 3 different men, that she sent naked pictures to from December the 3rd through almost towards the end of December. So yes, you will hear that they both were dating different people. Now, we'll go to February 25th of 2023. Now, what's also important to know before we get there, you'll find that Jade was involved with drugs prior to the day that this happened, prior to the day that she was diagnosed with acute cocaine toxicity that caused her death. You'll hear that she was involved with marijuana. You'll hear that she was involved with Adderall. You will hear that she was involved with the weed cartridges. I think they call it resin. You'll hear that she was involved with mushrooms, that she would take mushrooms. And you will hear that she also drank a lot until she was drunk, oftentimes. In fact, you'll hear that during maybe a day or so, before she and Nigella was having this conversation about who was the father, and it was Blaise's, that she was inviting Nigella to share mushrooms with her. And you'll hear on the same day that she learned that she was pregnant, that Nigella was asking her to call Des to reach out for some drugs. Fast forward to February 25th. On this day, during the incident, you'll hear that Jade and Faye did spontaneously plan a date night with Blaise, where she was going to cook, where she wanted to do the paint and sip, I believe Nigella calls it. Painting with a twist, I believe it is. And that's the where you paint and drink and have alcohol. But according to Nigella, they weren't going to have any alcohol because remember, even Nigella is going to tell you that she knew Blaise did not drink. And so, as she planned this date spontaneously, she reaches out to Blaise around noon that day. He didn't know that she was going to call him. And says, hey, what are you doing tonight? Will you be free? And he says, yeah, what do you want to do? What's going on? It was a little cold that day, so he wanted to know, what did you want to do? What should I wear? She says, dress comfortably and come to the house around 7. And he says, sure, I can do that. Now, what you hear when she was planning this date night, she was planning it with Nigella. What should I cook? And what should we do? And Nigella says, well, I want some chicken Alfredo. So why don't you put that? And Jade says, okay, that sounds good. Now, what's important to know is that Jade was a very ambitious young lady when she had her own business. JTP Eatery, which was like a small catering company. And when she would cook, you'll learn that some of her food would be infused with marijuana. In fact, you'll hear that her chicken Alfredo she would sell would be infused with marijuana. And cookies and brownies and things of that sort. So she makes the decision to have this date night with Blaise, and she and Nigella talk about it. And then at that point, Nigella says, well, I want some chicken Alfredo too. And Jade says, well, I'll put you some up for tomorrow. But Nigella says, and now we're in the bucket of jury, just so that you're oriented. Nigella says, well, no, I want to come tonight. Even though she's planning a date night with Blaise. She's now inviting herself into Jade's date night. And so she shows up, I would say, we know around 7:22, she sends a message, I'm on my way. And when she gets there, she brings a friend, Keontae, and she tells Jade, I want to bring Keontae too, because he wants some too. So we're both going to come to your date night. And they show up, and they stay there. But not for long. But what you'll hear is that when they showed up, Blaise invites them to stay. Hey, why don't you guys stay and play cards? And he had a deck of Uno cards that he was playing with. And he says, let's play Uno. And then he asks, well, do you guys know how to play spades? And Nigella says, no, I don't know how to play spades. And so he says, well, you guys should stay, hang on. But Nigella says, well, no, I don't want to intrude. We'll leave. And so we know that by 8:03, she was done. Because she sends this text after spending that 20 minutes or so with Jade and Blaise. That was a cute interaction. What you won't hear is that she sent any text as if there was anything nefarious going on. You will hear that she describes that moment as a cute interaction. And you'll hear that Jade responds and says, yes, Blaise says, we should hang out again or you guys should have stayed. And Najee responds, well, no, I did not want to intrude on your date night, so we left. Fast forward to about 9:28. So this interchange went on from about 8:03 until about 8:12. Then you'll know about 9:28, what you're going to find is that Jade and Blaise, specifically Jade, was taking selfies with Blaise. And you'll find that the selfies were them kissing and laughing and joking and having a great time. You'll see those photos. And you'll see that they were taken from Jade's phone. But then less than a minute later, you'll hear that Najee gets this call. And the call, I want to make sure that I say it right. The call, less than 60 seconds later, Najee describes it as, it was the most wimpiest voice I've ever heard. Those were her words. The scariest thing I've ever heard. She was freaking out. I never heard anything like it. She was fighting for her life. It was as if she was in danger. She says that she overheard her saying, you put something in my drink. What did you put in my drink? But what you'll learn is that when Jade is making these accusations per Najee, that Najee sends a text back saying, are you talking to me? So when Jade is making these accusations, Najee's response is, oh, are you talking to me? You won't hear that she says, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? You're going to hear that her response to those allegations are you talking to me? Within that moment, as they're describing, it was as if she was in danger and she was alone, per Najee, in the apartment with the man that Najee says was trying to kill her best friend. Najee never calls 911. No. Instead, she says that as Jade's voice was whimpering and going down and as if she was going to pass out, that Jade had enough voice to say, call Keontae. Call Keontae on the three-way. But what you're going to find is that Najee says she really didn't know. Jade really didn't know Keontae. But according to Najee, Jade wants her to call Keontae. You won't hear her say that Jade wanted her to call 911 or call her father. She wants her to call the guy she doesn't really know on the three-way. And Najee says she doesn't. And after she calls the gentleman, Keontae on the three-way, what you'll hear about Keontae is that he will tell you, yes, I was on the call. And her voice Jade's voice wasn't really, I couldn't really make things out. But I didn't hear the things that Najee said. I didn't hear those things. And what you'll also find is that with all the danger that Najee described, all these fear and everything that her best friend was going through. Keontae didn't call 911 either. What you're going to find is that there was only one person that night that called 911. Because Jade didn't call 911 either. You'll hear that with all of this medical emergency, all of these things that were going on with this young lady, there was only one person who called the police, who called for help. And that was Blaise. And you'll hear the 911, I promise you. And you'll have the opportunity to hear everything that he said and everything that he did. But you won't hear one 911 call between Jade, Nigella, or Keontae. And you'll hear the panic in Blaise's voice. You'll hear where he's running around trying to find the address. Because he didn't know the address by heart that way, just like Nigella didn't know the address. Because later you'll find that the police asked Nigella for the address too. And remember, she had just been there earlier, and she had to call to get the address. And you'll hear that eventually EMS showed up. And what's very important to know is that when EMS shows up and they get in that apartment 107, Jade was in a significant or stable enough condition that they did not perform CPR inside of the apartment. So you'll hear that whatever stress, whatever condition Jade was in, it wasn't significant enough for EMS to begin CPR right then at that moment. And those medical professionals will have to tell you that if it was dire enough that way, they would have had to give her CPR right then and there. They will tell you that. They will tell you that if the stress and condition that that young lady was in was so dire, they would not have waited to give her CPR once they got her on the back of the ambulance truck. So then you'll hear that Blaise was the one who ran out and met the ambulance outside and showed them where the apartment was. Because the apartment is such that you're really not going to know where the apartment is unless someone kind of directs you. So you'll hear that he went out and did that. And you'll hear that he never went back upstairs after EMS got him. When EMS left, he did too. And by then you'll hear that Nigella was there and she too followed the ambulance truck. And when they get to the hospital, it was Blaise who showed and helped Nigella park. And so they go into the hospital, they rush Jade in, she's in critical condition by this time. And Vanderbilt is doing everything they can to give her the services that they need, that she needs. And you'll hear that Nigella in the hospital starts with these allegations. This is where Nigella starts telling the social worker there at Vanderbilt, Blaise did something to her. Blaise put something in her drink, and these are the things that she was saying. And the investigation begins. And now we're at after. Oh, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. And then you'll hear that while they're at the hospital, Blaise never leaves. He stays there the entire time. When her mother calls, he answers the phone. When the police questions him, he answers the questions. When another police officer questions him, he answers those questions. When another police officer questions him, he answers those questions. You'll hear that he cooperated with every authority there. And not one time while he was at the hospital being questioned, being accused of being the person who caused this, did he ask for a lawyer? Did he exercise his right to the Fifth Amendment? Not one time. He did what he thought you would hear that he was supposed to do. But what you'll hear with Nigeria is that at some point during the night, she's questioned as well. And you'll hear that those police officers tells her, we need to talk to this Keontae guy too, for obvious reasons. And you'll hear that Keontae, although he comes to the hospital, he meets Nigeria in the parking lot. And you'll hear that when police officers have told her, we need to talk to this guy, she doesn't alert the police officers that he even showed up. She doesn't tell them that, hey, that witness to my best friend's medical episode, he's in the parking lot, come get his story. Instead, you will hear that she talks to him and then he leaves without talking to anyone, without giving anyone the side of his story of what happened. You'll also hear that she left again. And what's important to know is this, that you'll hear by this time, that apartment, based on Nigeria's allegations, is a crime scene. And that even though it's a crime scene, and that even though Officer Fish, who was one of the initial responding officers, told Jade Benning's stepmother and mother, someone Nigeria was in constant contact with throughout the night, as you can imagine. Nobody in that apartment, nobody out. It's shut down. It is a crime scene. There should be no one in that place. We need to go in there and figure out what happened. You're going to hear that Jade's friend, Lauren Weber, Nigeria's friend, Lauren Weber, and another young lady went inside that apartment eating. And that even though they weren't supposed to go in there and touch him, that she removed items out of that apartment, she locked it up, and then she brought her, Jade's purse and ID to the hospital. And you're going to hear that when the police officers hear this, and they learn that some people had entered this crime scene, that they said that that crime scene was contaminated. You'll hear that law enforcement says that themselves. And then you're going to hear that Nigeria and 3 more other people went inside that apartment with gloves on and removed crucial evidence and kept it for 24 hours before they turned it over to the police. They gave it to her mother. Evidence of the crime, they grabbed it, removed it, and kept it. You're going to hear now one time when Nigeria was speaking to those police officers, did she tell them, hey, I'm about to go over here to Jade's house, the crime scene, and we're going to go over there and help you guys out and remove evidence for you. She never says that. She never tells them that. They have to find that out through Jade's mother. You're going to also find that Nigeria had Jade's phone during this time and had gone into the phone. And we know that it couldn't have been Jade because by now Jade was in critical condition and in the home and was manipulating through the phone. And so you hear that at some point Nigeria leaves the hospital, but Blaise is still there. And he doesn't leave until Jade's mother gets there. And that you'll hear that he helped her find the parking space too. He ran out there and said, save the parking space as well. And you'll hear by now, it's over. Jade's in critical condition. She's pretty much on life support. She had suffered a significant brain injury as a result of losing oxygen to the body. And you'll hear that there was, in fact, laboratory evidence, the blood, the urine. You're going to hear a lot of stuff about that. And yes, you're going to hear that there was an awful amount of cocaine in her system. But what you're going to hear is that the integrity of those vials of blood and urine were such that the results of those blood tests does not make sense. The experts are going to have to tell you that it was too much cocaine for Jade to take on her own, and too much cocaine for Blaise to have slipped in a drink and her not notice. But you're going to hear there are so many issues with the way the lab dealt with that there's not a medical professional alive who would rely on those results. They're going to have to tell you that. But what they are going to have to tell you is this, as a result of those toxicology results, is that in Jade's system was cocaethylene. And you're going to learn that cocaethylene is where cocaine and alcohol meets up in your system at the same time. You're going to hear that there is no other way the metabolite cocaethylene can appear. No way. You can't have taken alcohol at 7 o'clock and then did a bump of cocaine at 9 and you form cocaethylene. You're going to hear that you can't take a drink of alcohol at 7:30 and take a bump of cocaine at 8. It has to be at the same time that cocaethylene was present in Jade's system. And you're going to hear that it was at levels such that it would have had to have been some time that had passed for it to be there in the fashion that it was. You're going to hear that at the end of this, that the medical examiner, Dr. Carney, Dr. Aaron Carney, performed an autopsy on Jade Benning. And what you'll learn is that an autopsy is, what they like to say is that it's not done in a vacuum. And what that basically means is you can't just look at the body to determine what happened. You have to factor in surrounding circumstances as well. And what you'll learn is that there are two things that the medical examiner is responsible for doing: determining the cause of death and the manner of death. The cause of death is going to be the medical issue that caused you to die. And the manner of death, you'll learn, to be only 5 things. It can be natural causes, accident, it could be undetermined, it could be homicide, and it could be suicide. It's going to always fall in one of those 5 buckets. And because it's not done in a vacuum, you have to look at the surrounding circumstances before you come to a conclusion as to which bucket those 5 land to. And what you're going to see is the medical examiner, the medical professional, the person that we rely on to come to a conclusion professionally as to what happened in regards to the manner of death for Ms. Benning. You're going to hear that even she could not come to the conclusion of homicide. And homicide just means you died at the hands of another. Doesn't necessarily mean a crime occurred. It just means that you died at the hands of another. You're going to hear that Dr. Carney is going to get on that stand. Remember we talked about that's where your evidence will come from. And she's going to have to tell you, I cannot rule this a homicide. And the reason she's going to tell you she cannot rule this a homicide is because of the circumstances surrounding Ms. Benning's death. And that she ruled it undetermined. What that basically means is that she could not come to a conclusion. Now you will hear from Apple Taylor. And Apple is someone that Blaise dated when he was in college, some 6 years before this happened. And you'll hear that Apple is from Arkansas, Jade is from Arkansas, Nashville is from Arkansas, and a friend named Ariane Jordan is from Arkansas. And you'll hear that Ariane heard about Ms. Benning's death. She heard about the allegations that it was Nashville who was saying it was Blaise that did it. And that within days of Ms. Benning's death, she told Apple. And you're going to hear that even though Apple says that Blaise was trying to poison Xavier Winford, she never goes to the police right then and there and says, Blaise was trying to kill someone else. Just like this situation. You're going to hear it was months before she did that. But you're going to hear a lot of other things too about Ms. Benning. You're going to hear that just as recent as April of this year, that on her to-do list was to put Blaise in prison. And she posted. You're going to hear that there were times that she felt, let me back that up, there were times that she made other false allegations against Blaise. And one of those allegations is going to be that while she was out of her apartment one day, Blaise had snuck in somehow when he was living in Tennessee and she was in Arkansas, and moved her bed over, or moved her furniture over a few inches, and then left. And she called the police to tell them. Blaise snuck in my apartment and moved my furniture to a court and just to miss it. And that you'll hear that in spite of all of that she still said Blaise was the best thing that ever happened to her when it was appropriate to do so. And you'll hear just 2 weeks before this incident that she was on social media trying to determine who Blaise was dating. You'll learn that is Apple Day. So I don't want you to lose focus at the end of this trial. I want you to do what you promised you would do. That you will look at the facts of this case based on the allegations before you, and not things that the state throws in to give you a red herring to put on your heartstrings. Stay focused on the evidence about whether or not that at the end of the day, much like Dr. Carney, did you hear enough evidence, not whether it's sad and tragic, because it is, that a young lady lost her life? Because I also want you to know, and I almost failed to forget to tell you this, that there was also fentanyl found in this baby system, not just that at the end of the trial, in the same way that Dr. Carney cannot rule this a homicide, you can realistically, honestly, to lay your head down at night, get to the conclusion that it was Blaise Taylor who caused Ms. Benning's death. Because when you think about it, before, during, and after, because whenever it's a circumstantial case, that's what you have to do, that there's nothing that will lead you to a conclusion that beyond a reasonable doubt that it was Blaise Taylor who caused it. And so I'm asking, Blaise Taylor is asking, his family is asking, and justice is asking to find him not guilty. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my request, or that the attorney's request, they want a short break before witnesses begin. So if you'll step down the hallway for 6 minutes. Everybody will just remain where you are. You came, you stay. While the jury's exiting. And Mr. Grant, your answer to your question is the pool camera is cut off for audio situation during all breaks, and whenever the court is not on the bench and the only visual is the court seal. 6 minutes.
Court's in a recess.
Okay, so I don't know, because I had to run to Walmart quick. I hurt my back yesterday. It was just a horrible situation. Anyways, so are they trying to blame the friends for this? Or what? I'm confused. So I guess maybe I'm just a little confused, because Ariana Jordan has ties to some Khadijah Jackson, Apple something. And they're only on break for a whole 6 minutes. So they're saying she was an addict. I'm just reading through some of the. So apparently a friend held on to some evidence for 24 hours. And apparently the blood that they took the vials were held on to for a period of time. So this could be weeks. Someone says, want a speedy trial? 6-minute breaks? Okay. So seems like to me they're trying to frame the friend that's got the ties to the girls in Arkansas. So
We're at a crossroads. Our future is now. As your governor, I will end the rampant fraud.
the medical examiner is saying her death could have been due to recreational drug use. So where are they getting that what do they have on him that's giving him these murder charges? I understand the baby because the mom died, so of course the baby died, so that's an automatic charge. But what caused them to think that he gave her this OD? Do you have video of him pouring this into her drink? Do you have video of him buying this lethal dose of cocaine? Man, they got a lot to prove in this trial. A lot. It's going to be a long trial. I don't know. There's just some key components. You got the friends from Arkansas. Was one of the friends jealous that she was with this Blaise and they were having a secret relationship? I mean, what was going on here?
All right, who's the first one?
Miss Marisol Baldwin.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes. My name is Baldwin. Could you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Marisol Baldwin, it's Marisol Baldwin.
And Ms. Baldwin, where are you employed?
Nashville Fire Department.
How long have you been with NFD?
9 years and 8 months
How are you currently employed with Nashville Fire?
as a paramedic.
How long have you been a paramedic?
About almost 2 years.
And what was your employment prior to becoming a medic with Nashville Fire?
An advanced EMT.
And how long were you an EMT?
6 years and 4 months.
Can you explain to the jury what the difference is between a medic and an EMT, please?
Yes. So the EMT is trained in basic life support, and they're also going to be responsible of the ambulance driving to and from calls. They're going to be assisting the paramedic, but they're not responsible for any advanced life support.
And were you on duty on February 25th of 2023?
Yes.
Okay, in what capacity were you working on the 25th?
I was working as an advanced EMT.
And on the 25th, did you respond to an incident located at 1522 Lebanon Pike, apartment 107?
Yes.
And is that here in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you recall what type of incident you were initially responding to?
I believe our CAD system said allergic reaction.
And were you in the ambulance
Yes.
as the driver or the passenger?
Driver.
And did you respond to that apartment with lights and sirens?
Yes.
Why?
That's our policy. Every call gets lights and sirens.
And do you recall what you initially witnessed when you arrived at the apartment complex?
As we arrived, we were led into the apartment and we found our patient lying in one of the bedrooms in the apartment. She was lying face down on a comforter.
Okay, do you recall who led you to the apartment?
Yes.
Who was that? You're pointing at someone.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Did you see a male that day?
Yes.
On the 25th? Okay.
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you point him out and describe something he's wearing?
Blue suit with white shirt. and
Your Honor,
bow
correct
tie.
to reflect for identification of Mr. Taylor.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I could pass 2 photos, please. Ms. Baldwin, do you recognize those photos?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, if I could publish the first photo, we have them on a PowerPoint, so it'll be digital.
Okay. Go there.
Ms. Baldwin, what are we looking at?
This is the apartment. As you go in the front door, this is what we saw.
Okay, and the 2 females standing on the left, were they there when you arrived?
No.
Okay. Who do you remember seeing initially when you got to the apartment?
We saw the male there initially.
Okay, can you describe to the jury what the male's demeanor was like?
He was frantic, but not really giving us any really useful information for us.
Okay, and what do you mean by that?
We really had no idea why we were finding her in the state that she was in. So,
Okay. Can you describe to the jury what you mean by that, not finding her in the state she was in?
we were expecting to see signs of an allergic reaction. And we didn't see any hives on Miss Benning. We didn't see any swelling. We didn't have any answers to our questions that we were asking.
What were you asking?
If she was allergic to anything, because it did come in as an allergic reaction. And all he was saying was she ate bad food.
Was he able to give you any other information generally about who she was and her health history?
Not that I recall.
Okay. And When you got into the apartment, was that scene considered safe?
Initially, yes, but we didn't really have our firefighters there yet. And with uncooperative family or bystanders, we deemed it unsafe.
Okay, what do you mean by uncooperative family members?
The male there was kind of getting in our working space and we couldn't properly assess and treat the patient.
Okay, what do you mean by that he was getting in your working space?
He wasn't letting us do our job. He was in our face, just trying, I don't know what he was trying to do, but we were trying to get her on our stretcher and wasn't following the commands that we were asking him.
Okay. And what commands were you asking him?
We usually don't want family in our working space. So we were probably telling him to step aside.
And where did you find the patient?
We found her in the bedroom to the right of this kitchen. She was on the bed. It looked like a comforter that she was on, and she was face down.
And is that the second photo that you have?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at right here?
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury how she was laying on the bed?
She was laying horizontal, so not how you would typically sleep where the pillows are. She was towards the end of the bed, and she was on her face down.
And at some point, did you roll Miss Benning over?
Yes.
Okay, and can you describe to the jury what you saw when you rolled Miss Benning over?
We rolled her over, and we immediately noticed that she was unresponsive. She didn't respond to us flipping her over on her back. And we noticed that she had some kind of fluid around her mouth.
Okay. Was that fluid any particular color, do you recall?
It was like a light pink in color.
We've already kind of touched on this, but based on your experience, did it appear Miss Benning was suffering from an allergic reaction?
Not fully. That wasn't. We were definitely trying to cross off multiple things that it could be, but it wasn't a typical response that we would see for an allergic reaction.
Was Miss Benning limp?
Yes.
And did Miss Benning have a pulse?
At what time?
When you got to her.
I don't personally remember checking it.
Would that have been something that the medic did?
Yes.
And at any point, did the male in the apartment try to touch Miss Benning?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe to the jury what happened?
So our firefighters were pulling their truck into the parking lot. So they were a little bit behind us, but we couldn't physically carry her, my partner and I, and he took it upon himself to do it, and we don't allow help from outside agency, like from our people. And he attempted to do that, so that's what I meant, that he wasn't listening to our commands, and then he eventually placed her on the floor right in front of the island.
Back to the other
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you kind of describe to the jury where he put Miss
So right in front of the island, just in that empty space, that's where he put her. And then when our firefighters got there, then we all lifted her and put her on our stretcher.
Okay, and then what did you do with Miss Benning?
We wheeled her to the ambulance.
At any point, do you recall someone else showing up?
Yes, a young lady.
And what do you recall about that young lady's demeanor?
She was hysterical. She was crying, asking us questions, trying to get inside the ambulance, looking in the windows.
And was this much different than the male's demeanor?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
She was crying. She kept asking us Is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna be okay? What's going on?
At any point, did you see Mr. Taylor crying?
Not that I saw.
At any point, did Mr. Taylor ask you if she was going to be okay?
Not that I can remember.
And once you got Miss Benning into the ambulance, what happened after that?
So she was put on the cardiac monitor. She had pads put on her. She had no pulse. We were doing compressions. We were doing a procedure where we stick an airway and breathe for her, starting IVs, giving epi, lots of things simultaneously happening.
And at what point did you transport Miss Benning?
Once my partner, she said she was ready, and we took firefighters with us, and then I think it was after 10 minutes of being there total time.
And did Mr. Taylor ever attempt to get in the ambulance with Miss Benning?
Not that I recall.
And where did you take Miss Benning?
Vanderbilt Adult ER.
And did you transport Miss Benning with lights and sirens?
Yes,
Okay, and why so?
she was critical.
What do you mean by that?
Cardiac arrest is deemed critical.
And at any point, did Miss Benning ever have a pulse?
Not that I can remember with us.
And once you got to Vanderbilt with Miss Benning, is that when you released care and that's when Vanderbilt took over?
Yes.
Your Honor, if you'll give me 1 minute. Ms. Baldwin, who was the paramedic with you?
Andrea,
Okay, what's her last name?
it's Rose now. I believe it was Arwen at the time, or I'm sorry, Agrawal at the time.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to admit both evidence as an exhibit 1A and 1B, please, and I'll pass the witness.
Sorry, questions on behalf of Mr. Taylor.
Ms. Baldwin, did I get that right? Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
My name is Edward Jointer. I'm going to be asking you a few questions. If at any time you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to rephrase. I want to just make sure I understood your role on that day. You were acting in what capacity?
I was an EMT at the time.
And one of the duties you described for EMT basic was basic life-saving measures, you said?
Correct.
And to be clear, you were the driver that day.
Correct.
And so when you arrived there, you said you were led into the apartment.
Yes.
Who was you led by?
Male that was on scene.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
So he assisted, he helped you all find the apartment.
I believe when we saw the hallway, he popped out of the apartment, but I can't exactly recall if he led us but he was there and said, this is the apartment.
Is there a reason why you said he led us if you didn't feel he led you?
He showed us the apartment.
And that's assisting, correct?
Telling us, yes, it's telling us where the apartment is.
Okay. And once you got into the apartment, 1 second, y'all, and I see Stacy Exhibit 1 and 2. Okay. 1A and 1B, I'm sorry. flip up the song.
Okay, I'll switch it.
Now, these people that are in this photo, they were not there helping you, were they?
No.
Were they there when you got there?
No.
Do you know who these people are?
No.
Is this the entryway when you first come into the apartment?
Yes.
And I'm gonna now show you Space Exhibit 1B. Was this the bedroom where you found Miss Benning?
Yes.
And I want to orientate you to this window over here. Was that window shade up when you entered the apartment?
I can't recall.
Because you all didn't take these photos, did you?
No.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about, you said that you received the call as an allergic reaction,
Correct.
correct? Do you know what, if any, medical training Mr. Blaise Taylor has?
I do not.
And so if he described it as a allergic reaction, that was what he thought maybe was going on, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that when you came into the apartment, you did see something around her mouth area when you checked her out,
She did have something around her mouth.
as if she had consumed something.
Possibly, I guess.
And so when you first arrived, you said that you and your partner was there.
Mhm.
That partner, male or female?
Female.
And when you all came into the apartment, did you all have a stretcher?
We had it, but it was in the hallway, if I can remember correctly.
And at some point after you made you all's medical observations, you made the determination to take Miss Benning to get medical attention.
Correct.
And you were going to do that by placing her on what?
On our stretcher.
And when you first came to the scene, you stated that she did not have a pulse.
I stated that I did not check her for a pulse.
And did you perform CPR?
When in the ambulance, I did personally.
But not in the house.
Not in the house.
Did your partner perform CPR?
No.
So neither one of you all performed CPR when you all first got to the house.
That's correct.
At some point, you all were going to transport Miss Benning, correct?
Correct.
And you stated that it was Mr. Taylor who tried to assist you all in moving Miss Benning from the bedroom to the kitchen, correct?
Yes.
Because the goal was to get Miss Benning on the stretcher.
Correct.
And once she was on the stretcher, get her to EMS services.
Correct.
You would agree with me that that is consistent with someone that's trying to assist you.
Correct.
One second. Now, Ms. Bowman, you've been an EMT for 9 years now.
EMT and paramedic, both in the 9 years.
Okay. And have you ever had an occasion where you showed up to the scene and you had to render CPR?
Yes.
Sometimes that's not uncommon depending on the situation, correct?
Correct.
And can you just educate this jury as to what are some instances where you would immediately perform CPR when you come upon a patient?
Can you ask that again?
Sure.
Just,
Can you educate the jury on what are some medical scenarios that you will perform CPR immediately upon arriving to a patient?
If a patient is pulseless, we would start CPR until we can get the cardiac monitor on them.
Okay. And is a pulse something you check upon reaching a patient?
Yes,
But just to be clear, you didn't perform CPR when you immediately came upon Ms. Benning, did you?
correct.
No further questions from Ms. Williams?
We agree to it.
No, sir.
Thank you. Or accused of that.
Stage next witness is Andrea Brown.
Do you swear the testimony not to give to be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yeah, do it first. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
Good morning, Ms. Browning. Could you please state your name for the record?
Andrea Browning,
And could you spell your first name and your last name for the court reporter?
AndreaBrowning.
And Ms. Browning, what was your relationship with Jade Benning?
I was her stepmother by Miss Mom.
When did you become Jade's stepmom?
When I married her father in 2009,
And how old would Jade have been at that time?
11.
Had you met her before you actually married her father?
Yes,
And it's her father, Dennis Browning.
correct.
Where were you living at the time that you met Jade and you and her father got married?
We were living in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
And did you continue to live there, or at some point did you move?
We moved in 2016 or 15, somewhere in that time frame.
Where did you move to?
Jacksonville and then Nashville,
And where was Jade living during that time?
Arkansas.
Did she come and visit, and did you guys see her regularly?
Yes, as often as we could. It was,
And you moved to the Nashville area. Were you working at that time?
yes, I moved here to take a job.
And I guess during that time frame when Jade's kind of going through school, what does she do? Does she go on to college, or what does she do after high school?
Yeah, yes, college after high school.
Where did she go to school?
The culinary school is what you're asking about. I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Did she go to a culinary school?
Yes,
And did she graduate?
yes,
And at some point, did Jade move to Nashville?
yes.
And do you remember when that was?
January of 22, I guess. The time frame is,
January of 2022, sound right?
yes.
Okay. And when she moved, did she have a job, or what was she doing?
She moved here and accepted a job as a chef.
And where was she working at?
Ernest,
And do you have a connection to Ernest?
yes,
Is the, I guess, full name of the restaurant, was it Ernest Bar and Hideaway?
correct.
And what's your connection with that restaurant?
My brother was a co-owner.
Can you describe, did you go to the restaurant, or how often did you see Jade once she moved back to the Nashville, or I guess the first time for her being in the Nashville area?
Right, pretty regularly, just would stop in after work, see her, or just when I could get down there.
Did you spend time with her outside of going to the restaurant that she worked with?
Yes,
And does Jade have any siblings?
yes.
And can you describe her siblings?
Our daughter Ava, and she's 7 now. She has Down syndrome. She's a beautiful little girl.
Did Jade spend time with her when she was here?
Absolutely.
And in February, I guess, where was Jade living initially before February of 2023, kind of the end of 2022?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Where was Jade living at the end of 2022?
Oh, at the apartment in Nashville,
Did she have a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom?
2-bedroom.
A 2-bedroom apartment at the end of the year before she moved?
No. Sorry, I forgot the dates. At the end of the year, she was still in her 1-bedroom.
Okay. And at some point at the beginning of 2023,
Right,
did she move?
correct.
And did you go to that apartment?
Yes,
And can you describe, how did you find out that Jade was expecting and pregnant?
she told me.
Do you remember when?
Yes, it was just after Thanksgiving, 22, and she was at my house. And we were gonna help her fix something on her tire, like a hubcap or something, I think. We neither one knew what we were doing, so we were getting help from my father and also YouTube. And then we went inside, and both my parents were there as well. And she told us that she was gonna have a baby.
And at that point, did she tell you anything about Blaise Taylor?
No.
And can you describe what was her demeanor like? How did she seem when she told you about it?
Just pretty matter of fact, and that she was good with it. You could tell, like, that it was just very short and quick and matter of fact.
And did she make any reference to if there was a father that was going to be involved?
No,
Had you ever heard that name, Blaise Taylor?
not that I can recall.
And at some point, I guess after that date, did you continue to talk to Jade about the pregnancy?
Yes, for sure.
And can you describe kind of her demeanor when y'all would talk about it?
She was very getting prepared. She was just like, this is what's happening. This is what I'm going to do. She was doing all the things that a mother would do to prepare for a child.
And did she talk to you about her appointments that she would go to?
Yes.
Do you recall specifically on New Year's Eve? Did you see Jade on that day?
I did.
And can you describe what happened on New Year's Eve?
Her father and I drove to Nashville to meet up with her and hang out with her and bring in the new year. Just hang out and have a good time.
And did y'all take any photographs that night?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask if the witness needed a photo.
Ms. Browning, do you recognize that photo?
I do.
And what is that a photo of?
Jade and her father and I.
And was that taken on New Year's Eve?
It was.
So that's December 31st
Of 2022.
Yes.
And at this time, I would ask that that be admitted as the next numbered exhibit, which I believe is number 2. And
Okay.
request permission to publish it by the jury.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Yes. Ms. Browning, can you just point out who the three people are in the photograph? You can touch the screen. It's in front of you.
Jade to the left,
If you touch the screen, it'll make a mark.
okay, there's Jade and Dennis and myself.
Can you describe Jade's demeanor on that Christmas Eve?
New Year's Eve.
I'm sorry, New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I can. She was just really happy to be hanging out with everybody and happy that her dad was there to celebrate with us as well.
And that night, did Jade have anything to drink?
No,
Did you know of Jade to have anything to drink after she found out she was pregnant?
not at all, because we just had celebrated Thanksgiving and she was not having a drink. And
Was
then
everyone-
just
was
after
everyone else
Thanksgiving.
having a drink?
Yes,
And did she not only not have anything, but not even have a sip?
correct.
And on that New Year's Eve, when you were celebrating, did she say anything to you about Blaise Taylor?
No,
Kind of after New Year's Eve, that January, February, did you continue to see her on a regular basis?
for sure.
And specifically, when she was moving into the new apartment?
Yes.
Did you talk to her about that?
Yes, we did.
And did you actually go to that apartment?
I did.
I'm gonna ask the witness be handed a single photograph that's been shown to the defense counsel. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that a photograph of?
Jade standing in her kitchen, holding a pint of ice cream and a hand on her belly.
Your Honor, at this time I would ask to admit that photograph is the next numbered exhibit, which I believe is number 3.
Okay.
And may I publish that to the jury?
All right.
Ms. Browning, do you recognize that image?
Yes.
And specifically, were you familiar with a camera that Jade would keep in her apartment?
Yes.
And can you circle that in that photograph?
Well, I sort of covered it up, sorry.
That's okay.
That's where it is.
And so that camera, is that where she normally kept it, kind of to the left of the stove?
Yes.
And in that time of February, in those last few weeks of Jade Benning's life, did you go to any appointments with her?
I did.
And can you describe that?
I met her at the OBGYN in Franklin and just sat with her in the waiting room until they called her back and went back with her. We saw a sonogram, I believe, one of the times I was with her.
Did you go to more than one appointment with her?
I want to say I did, but I'm not 100% certain. It's been a minute and I forgot the details. I definitely remember being with her when we saw the sonogram. And I actually do think I was with her at more than one. Because one was in like the office where the doctor was with her and then one was with the sonogram.
And did you know who her OBGYN was?
Yes,
And who was that?
Allison Mullally.
And did you also know Dr. Mullally?
Yes, she delivered our baby.
And you said that you specifically remember one appointment with a sonogram. Was there something kind of big about that appointment?
Just checking the anatomy and finding out
If it was a girl or a boy?
the gender, yes.
And you were with her at that appointment?
Correct.
Was anyone else there?
No.
And did she find out on that day?
Yeah,
And what was she having?
a girl.
Was there anything else that came up during that sonogram?
Yeah, I don't really remember all the specifics, but just some further testing or they were just going to check everything out, make sure everything was okay.
And did Jade have to go back for testing and another appointment.
Yeah.
And do you remember if you went to either of those with her?
I can't really recall.
Can you describe Jade's demeanor at the appointment on February 2nd when she found out that she was having a baby girl?
She was good with that. She was happy.
And did that demeanor change at all from that February 2nd date up until the last time that you saw her?
No.
When was the last time that you saw Jade before she was murdered?
I'd say less than a week before I had stopped by Ernest and she was working. I don't know exactly how soon it was, but I'd say less than a week if I had to guess.
And can you describe her demeanor when you saw her then?
She was great, just busy working. She's a hard worker. She always was doing what she was supposed to do. She was popping over to say hey and back into the kitchen.
And at any point, did she talk to you about Blaise Taylor, or did you ever meet him?
I never met him. At some point she did mention him, but I don't remember a lot of details other than she was just, I believe she had said he'd gotten back in touch with her. This was after January.
But you had not met him, is that correct?
Correct.
And had Jade said anything to you about him being kind of a permanent fixture?
No.
Can you describe, Ms. Browning, how were you notified about what happened on February 25th of 2023?
I was asleep and had a bunch of missed calls, and then I figured out that she was on the way to the hospital or at the hospital, and I just jumped out of bed and drove to Nashville.
And when you got to the hospital, can you describe who was there and what was going on?
Yeah, I believe I was met by a social worker when I first got there. I can't really remember other than they brought me into a room and Isaiah and Blaise were both in there. But the social worker helped me outside of the room for a few minutes just to tell me that things were heated,
That things were
intense, kind of, yeah.
And did you know what he was referring to?
No.
Did you, I guess, what happened next after he kind of told you things were intense and heated?
He left us all in the room together, and I was just trying to get some information out of both of them, and it was a lot at one time to take in. So I ended up asking, just to speak to Najee because I knew that was Jade's best friend.
Do you remember anything that Blaise Taylor said?
Not specifically. He didn't say much.
Can you describe his demeanor?
Quiet.
Did you see him cry at any point?
No.
And kind of same questions about Najee. Can you describe her demeanor?
Yeah, she was really worried. She was a little frantic, and we were both panicking at that point. But I was just trying to, talk to her and kind of ease her a little bit as best as I could, and also as well as just hear her version of what had happened.
And had you met Najee?
Had happened.
And had you met Najee Jackson before?
I knew that she was Jay's best friend, but we had tried to link up, and we didn't link up at that point. I think I might have when they were really little, but not since she had been living in Nashville. I hadn't seen her. We missed each other on a couple of dates, but yeah.
But you were aware of who she was?
For sure.
in her relationship with Jade.
Absolutely.
And did she tell you everything that she knew about what had happened that night?
Yes.
And did she specifically tell you about things she heard Jade say?
Yes.
And were you there? Was she telling other people at the hospital as well?
No, it was just me and her at that point.
Do you remember specifically everything that she said?
I don't.
Do you remember generally?
I do remember that she was saying that she was talking like,
You care to be heard on the objection? I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. She did tell you specific statements, is that right?
yeah,
And after she told you that, can you describe what happened next?
I was upset and I was worried too, but I was mostly just wanting to, at this point, see Jade. I don't really remember all of the interaction and the contact, but Najee and I weren't together for too very long before I was allowed to go back into where Jade was so I didn't get to have any thorough conversations really with Najee, but I do remember her saying that.
And I'm not asking you specifically what she said,
Okay.
but she did tell you.
Yeah.
Can you describe when they took you back to see Jade?
It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know how to describe it. She had tubes in her mouth. She was shaking. The nurse just seemed very worried, or like they were trying to kind of comfort me, but Jade it wasn't Jade, you know.
Did they let you stay in the room for very long?
Yeah, it seemed like it. I don't know how long it was, but they were going to be moving her, so I was with her as long as I could be before they moved her.
And you said that she was shaking. Can you kind of describe that? Was she conscious?
No.
Did the shaking, did it appear to be involuntary?
Yes.
And can you describe that night, did other people show up at the hospital?
Yeah, some of the people that she worked with showed up. People that she was friends with that were worried about her as well.
Do you remember their names specifically?
Yeah, Lauren and a girl that I forgot her name, but her nickname, she has a nickname that I can remember, but I don't remember her real. Natalie, I think, is her real name.
And at any point, did you ask them to do anything related to Jade and her apartment?
No, did I ask? We were just concerned about it being unsecured. I don't recall asking them to do anything specifically. We were trying to find out what we should do because she needed her identification. I believe there was a candle burning in the apartment. We were worried about Jade's belongings and her having access to the things that she needed.
And at some point, did Natalie and Lauren leave the hospital and then come back?
Yes. Or I don't know if they came back or not. I don't remember all that.
Okay. Did you ever receive anything of Jade's?
Me personally, no.
And did you have any
Yeah.
other?
If I did, I don't recall. So it's been a while. And it was a high stress, and I don't really remember all the details of that.
Absolutely. Did you see Blaise Taylor again from that first interaction when he was in the room with Najee?
No, I saw him in the hall briefly, but that was it.
Did he say anything to you?
No.
And at that point, can you describe his demeanor? How was he acting?
He's just pacing a little bit. He was on the phone. That's all I can remember.
And in those days that followed from February 25th until March 6th, did you spend a lot of time at Vanderbilt Hospital?
Yes.
And can you describe who else was at the hospital during those days?
Yeah, but all of her parents and friends. A lot of friends, and that she wasn't able to have visitors, so like the people that could just go in the room were close family, close friends.
Did you ever see Blaise Taylor again?
No.
And since that night of February 25th, those days when Jade was in the hospital, did you see Jade Jackson?
Yes,
And can you describe how much was she there?
constantly.
And have you continued to interact with Jade Jackson from that day of March 6th, 2023?
Yeah.
And can you describe what happened on March 6th?
Well, we had brought her some cupcakes and some balloons and some flowers, and because that's her birthday. And close family and close friends were there in the room the entire day until then to the machine.
And you said that you've continued to talk to Miss Jackson since that day
Yeah.
when Jade was taken off life support.
Yeah.
Do you have any reason to believe that Miss Jackson would harm Jade Benning?
No.
Just one moment.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I don't have any other questions.
Questions you may have of the defendant?
Good morning, Ms. Brennan.
Good morning.
So I think I heard this correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but Jade, Ms. Benning, she moved to Nashville around January 2022, so a little more than a year before this incident?
Yeah.
And you lived here a good bit longer than that, is that right?
Yeah, I moved back here in 2016.
2016, okay. So before that, Jade lived in Arkansas, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know where she lived before this?
And specifically,
You don't know?
I know she was in Northwest Arkansas. I think it was Brightwater was the name of the culinary school.
So she was at school before she moved to Nashville?
Yeah, and then I don't know who she lived with after that during COVID, and I don't know specifically about her exact location of where she lived. I know that it was in Arkansas.
So when she moved to town, you guys developed a bit of a relationship, is that correct?
We always had a relationship. We got closer as I got to spend more time with her.
Sure, so you got closer when she moved to town, right?
That's correct.
But before that, you had some relationship, but you're not that close, is that fair?
We're close. We're family.
But you didn't know what city she lived in before she moved to town, is that correct?
That part was irrelevant to me. I knew that I could get to her when we needed to.
I got you, but that's correct, you didn't know what city she lived in before she moved to town?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
she's grown, yeah.
She's grown. You need to know who any of her roommates were, right?
That's correct.
So when she moves to town, did she have a roommate or did she live alone?
Alone.
She lived alone, okay. Were you familiar with any of the people that she was dating or seeing when she moved to town?
No.
So now Jade Jackson doesn't move to town until August, right?
Okay,
Is that correct?
sure.
Sometime after Jade moves to town, right?
Correct.
So there's about 9 months when she's here, kind of establishing herself, getting her bearings, right?
Okay, sure.
Does that sound about right?
That's correct.
Okay. How often are you seeing her during that time period?
Probably at least every other week or every couple of weeks, depending on both of our schedules.
Sure, okay,
So frequently.
Yeah, like a family relationship. You're seeing her every few weeks, but not every single day, right?
Correct. We talked more than we saw each other.
I got you. You indicated that when you saw her at Thanksgiving and you saw her at Christmas, she wasn't drinking. You didn't see her even have a sip, right?
That's true.
This time before November, did she drink?
I never saw her drink.
You never saw her drink. Okay. Do you know if she drank?
Yeah,
So she drank, but she never drank around you.
no,
No, she didn't drink around you.
correct,
Okay. But to your knowledge, she did drink.
correct.
You just don't know how much.
That is correct.
You know if she did drugs?
I don't know.
She certainly did do drugs around you, right?
Correct.
But you don't know if she did drugs.
I don't know.
And you're seeing her maybe once every other week, so she potentially does things on her own time, right? She's an adult. Is that fair?
She's an adult.
And we sort of mentioned you hadn't met any people that she was dating in this time that she's in Nashville. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so the name Des doesn't ring a bell to you.
It doesn't.
The name Renee doesn't ring a bell to you.
No.
The name Walt doesn't ring a bell to you.
Your Honor, she's asked and answered.
Okay, she said she didn't know anything about it.
Okay. And there had been you and her had not discussed her relationship with Mr. Taylor really hardly at all. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You were aware that at some point around New Year's or after, they had started having some involvement again, right?
Yes,
You just are not aware of the extent of that.
correct.
I want to talk to you a little bit about this night, February 25th, 2023, okay?
All right.
Who did you receive a call from notifying you that Jade was on the way to the hospital?
Both her mother and her father.
Her mother and father.
Correct.
Do you know about what time you received those calls?
No, I know it was late-ish, like not too late, like 10-ish, or maybe a little before. I don't know exactly.
You said you had to come to Nashville.
Yeah,
About, no, I don't, obviously we don't want to, exactly where you live, but about how long did it take you to get from your house to the hospital?
about 25, 30 minutes.
25. Do you know about when you arrived at the hospital?
No, not without looking.
You think you got there before midnight?
Probably.
You think you got there before 11?
No. Probably.
By the time you got there, were police officers already there?
No.
So you got there sometime after Jade, but before police had arrived.
I believe that's correct.
And some of your initial interactions, if I'm understanding, were a conversation with Najee and Mr. Taylor and a social worker, is that correct?
Yeah.
Were you guys all in a room together? Were you in a hallway? Where was this interaction?
A room.
It was in a room.
Correct.
And you described that interaction as tense?
No, it was just tense when the social worker was in there.
So the three of you were alone in there?
Correct.
When the social worker was there, it was a little calmer.
I don't think that he ever went into the room with us. I don't remember him going into the room with us. He was just trying to prepare me for what I was going into a room with.
Oh, so you spoke to the social worker in like the hallway?
Like right outside of the room, I believe. I don't remember the exact specific details of every conversation and interaction, but I don't recall if the social worker came in with us or not, but I feel like he just left us at the door, but he did leave us alone.
I understand, and it is tough sometimes to remember exact details. So before you go into this room, you talked to the social worker. Were Mr. Taylor and Najee Jackson in that room alone?
I believe so. I don't know because I wasn't there. I don't know.
That's maybe the best of your recollection?
I don't know if they were alone. I don't know if he left them alone.
But at some point, you and Miss Jackson and Mr. Taylor were in that room alone together.
Yeah, so it was very brief.
And that's the interaction that you described as tense.
It was.
And while I don't want exactly what was, not gonna ask about exactly what was said, is that the first time you heard anything that resembled an accusation made of Mr. Taylor?
As far as I can remember, yeah.
At some point after that interaction, did law enforcement arrive at the hospital?
Yes.
And you stayed at the hospital
Overnight.
all overnight. And you spoke to law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
And was it your understanding or impression that law enforcement was kind of speaking to everybody that night?
Yeah.
And obviously they were taking the situation very seriously. right?
Correct.
Do you know about what time Lauren Weber and her friend Natalie showed up?
I don't.
Did you see them?
Yeah, briefly.
Do you know if when you saw them was before or after they went to?
I don't recall.
Do you know if when you saw them at the hospital was before or after law enforcement had shown up at the hospital?
I don't recall those details. It seemed like it was all pretty much at the same time almost. I don't know.
Do you know if at any point in time you were involved in any discussion with law enforcement about, hey, if we want to go back to the apartment and get an ID, get a purse, get keys, blow out a candle, the things that you mentioned, what's the best way to do it? Is someone from law enforcement available? Should we just go back and do it? How should we do that?
Can you ask that again?
He's asking, did you have any discussion with law enforcement about the apartment?
I believe, I think that her mom was on the phone. I don't remember all the details. We were all very upset and.
Sure. I'm really wondering if you remember if you were involved in any of those, in that conversation.
I don't remember that specifically. I remember talking to them about it, and I don't remember what order things happened in and who was telling us what,
So far as you're aware, law enforcement did not go back with Lauren Weber and Natalie to the apartment.
I'm not certain about that.
Do you know how you know that there was a candle burning in the apartment?
I don't know what. Somebody had said something about that, maybe Najee,
Okay.
because she had been by there. I don't know. I don't remember.
So your impression is that maybe Najee had been by there?
Well, earlier in the evening, she was there.
After that night, February 25th, and I know a lot happened that night, the next day, and the following 9 days. Were you pretty involved with the rest of the family in the next 9 days?
For sure. Yeah.
Was it your impression that Mr. Taylor was a welcome part of Jade Benning's family during those next 9 days?
No.
Was it your impression that Mr. Taylor would have been welcome at the hospital by Miss Benning's family if he had showed up there?
Probably not.
Was it your impression, or were you involved in any specific discussions about specifically not allowing Mr. Taylor to come to the hospital?
Was I involved in him not being allowed to come?
Yes.
I wasn't involved. I was told
That he was not allowed?
I guess. I don't remember exactly what the exact terms were. Like, he wasn't to come into Jade's room.
He was not to come to Jade's room, possibly not to come to the hospital to visit her at all?
I'm not certain what the restrictions were.
But that's your impression, that was the family's wishes.
Right.
So there was some questioning while you, on direct by the state's attorney, that you were at the hospital, the family was at the hospital, right? Is that correct?
Right.
Nigel came to visit her at the hospital,
Right.
right? But Mr. Taylor never came to visit her.
He did not.
He did not. But in fact, he may not have been allowed to visit her, is that correct?
Potentially,
Even if he had wanted to?
I don't know what he wanted. I don't know.
But the family certainly did not want him around, correct?
Right.
And at that point, Jade was unconscious, right?
Correct.
Here, if I could just. Do you remember having a conversation at the hospital with Officer Fish? I think you were on an upstairs little alcove in the hospital.
I do remember having a conversation with an officer, but I don't remember their name.
Sure. Do you remember as part of that conversation being advised that nobody should go in or out of that apartment?
I don't know what time all these things took place that you're referring to, so.
Sure. Ms. Burks was on the phone during that conversation. You called her, it was on speakerphone. Remember that conversation?
I do.
And you remember the officer, law enforcement, telling you all that nobody should go in and out of the apartment?
I don't remember all of that specifically, but I do remember being on the phone with her and an officer being present.
And you remember the officer telling you nobody should go in and out of the apartment?
Your Honor, it's a custody answer.
Okay, can you answer it definitively whether you recall that or not?
I don't recall a lot of things from that night. I was,
He's asking
Very
about the
distressed.
conversation about don't go into the apartment.
yeah,
Do you recall that?
yeah. I don't remember specifically somebody telling me not to go into an apartment. I don't remember the extent of that conversation.
Okay. I know this is confusing and I know that there's a lot that
Yeah,
you don't recall.
yeah, the timeline is very,
I'm not worried about the timeline. I don't need times. We're just talking about one conversation. Don't worry about times for a minute, okay? Do you remember in that conversation, which I think you remember, with the officer upstairs, Bridget was on the phone, that the officer said, nobody in, nobody out. Do you remember that?
yeah,
Yes? Okay.
I remember.
You can read your record.
There you are.
All right, thank you. You can kind of see. Who is the next witness?
Dr. Allison Malali.
Okay. Sit right here. Raise your right.
Please swear the testimony you're about to give the truth. I did.
Still barely morning, so could you please state your name?
Allison Malali,
And could you please spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Alison, Malali, Mullally.
And do you practice a profession?
Yes, I'm an OBGYN.
And so would that mean you are Dr. Malali?
Yes, I'm a physician.
And how long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing for about 30 years if you include residency.
And don't need to go into all that much detail about your educational background, but where did you go to undergraduate and then medical school?
Undergraduate at UT Knoxville, and then I went to medical school at UT Memphis, and I did my residency at UT Memphis also.
And with respect to the specialty, would that be the obstetrics gynecology?
Yes,
that you referenced?
that was the 4 years of residency.
OB/GYN.
Oh, yes, obstetrics and gynecology.
And has that been essentially your primary, if not only, area of practice for the last 25, 30 years?
Yes.
Where is your practice currently located?
I'm at Vanderbilt Franklin Women's Center, which is in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's right next to Williamson Medical Center.
So is it a part of the Vanderbilt medical umbrella?
Yes, it's part of VUMC, but I don't practice at Vanderbilt Hospital. We just do our deliveries and our surgeries at Williamson Medical Center.
So is it a essentially full service there where you can do examinations all the way through delivery?
Yes, our office is right sort of in front of the hospital where we do our deliveries.
Okay. And how long have you been at that specific location?
Since August of 2001.
So then were you there in 2022 and on into
Yes,
2023?
yes.
And during a time in late 2022, did you come to have a patient named Jade Benning?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when she became your patient?
She came to see me for her first OB visit on November 16th of 22.
And was there any, was she a referral? Did you have any relative of hers as a patient?
Well, no, I have known her stepmother for a long time.
Oh,
Andrea, yes.
so was that a connection, at least
Yes.
through the acquaintanceship?
Yes.
And I believe you said she came to you November 16th. That was the first
Yes.
visit. Had you ever met Miss Benning before?
No.
Or had her as a patient?
No, she had been seen in our office by one of the nurse practitioners, but I hadn't seen her before.
Tell us about that first visit. What occurred? What did you do? Did you obtain a history from Miss Benning?
Yes. So it was a routine first OB visit. She had a positive pregnancy test at home. And so saw her, took her history, vital signs, and did a pelvic exam. And then we do just a bedside pelvic ultrasound, just a vaginal ultrasound to confirm dates. And so all of that was done. And everything.
Oh, pardon me for interrupting. Was the information you gained from Miss Benning and the information she provided, the history, was that for the purpose of medical diagnosis and treatment?
Yes.
Were those obtained for that purpose?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, the ultrasound confirmed her dates, and then she had her prenatal screen labs done, and then she scheduled them.
With respect to that initial examination, what was her appearance and demeanor, if you recall?
Very normal and pleasant.
Physically, how was she?
Very normal. Her physical exam was normal. Her vital signs were all normal.
Did she present with any illness, any pre-existing condition that warranted medical attention?
No.
With respect to confirming the pregnancy, is that the time that you, as a doctor, estimate a due date?
Yes.
And how is that, what is a due date and how is that arrived at?
Well, we start by using the first day of the last menstrual period, and then conception generally is a couple of weeks after that. So we start with that, and then The due date is 40 weeks from that. So her due date was estimated to be June 19th, and which went along with her period and coincided with the 9-week ultrasound that I did.
So everything matched.
Mhm.
And the ability to get that due date, was that in part because of the history she had given you?
Yes,
And so everything was consistent
yes.
at that point. Now, what is the precision, if any, of the due date? How close is that to the hours, minutes?
It's pretty precise, especially since it coincided with the early ultrasound, which is very accurate at estimating. So, within 3 days or 5 days, it's very accurate since it coincided with her period.
The first visit and examination, were there any concerns about her ability to keep the pregnancy going?
No.
And I'll go ahead and ask this as part of her history. Did you learn at that time, or later, that she had had a previous pregnancy?
Yes, it was in the history that she had had a prior pregnancy. And I don't recall if she had had a miscarriage or a termination. A lot of patients don't like to discuss that, so I don't really dwell on that for very long. So it's documented in the record, just non-specifically.
Is that relevant
It's
to any
not.
treatment that you would provide or did provide?
No.
And first appointment, was she there on time?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not anyone came with her to that first appointment?
I believe she was by herself. I know she never had a male partner with her. I think Andrea may have come to an appointment or two, but it was maybe a later one.
By Andrea, Miss Browning?
Yes.
The next appointment. Did she keep that appointment?
Yes.
Was she on time?
Yes.
Do you recall her appearance, demeanor at that?
Normal and happy to be there.
Okay. When you say happy to be there, what do you mean by that?
Engaging and interested in information and appropriate concerns and
Did she express to you any concerns about the pregnancy?
no.
Or the opposite, any happiness about it?
I remember her being happy about it, but I can't remember anything specific
Okay.
about that.
Suffice to say, was there anything unusual about her actions or appearance,
No.
anything to do with it?
No.
And just briefly, don't include any specific details, but what was the second visit? What did it entail?
Second visit is usually when I do the breast exam, part of the exam. I go over the prenatal labs, and we just listen to the fetal heart tones with the Doppler. And then at that visit, she would get scheduled for her 20-week ultrasound at her next visit.
At that second visit, was there any concern on your part about her ability to carry the child to term?
No, everything looked good.
The ultrasound, you recall approximately when that was?
It was at 20 weeks. I think the date was February 2nd, I think.
Hang on just a second. Would you have them have a seat, Ms. Haney? All right, then if there's not room, just leave. If there's not room, just leave. Can't be distracting things. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, February 2nd. Now, are you present for that, or how is that scheduled and operated?
No, I'm not present for that. That's done in a separate room in our office with the ultrasound tech, and then the maternal fetal medicine doctors read the report, and the report comes to me.
And did that occur in this particular case?
Yes.
Now, on that February the 2nd, 2023 date, would Miss Benning have known the results or been given the results of the ultrasound?
I called her, I think on the 6th with the results because there was not really an abnormality, but a soft finding for a soft marker for Down syndrome. So what we do in that case, it was an intracardiac echogenic focus, and that's not a problem with the heart in and of itself. But we offer genetic testing because she didn't do that before. So we offered her genetic testing because if the genetic testing is normal, then we know that it's just a normal variant and it's nothing to worry about. So I talked to her on the phone and discussed the results, and she decided she did want to do the genetic testing just to make sure everything was okay. And so she came in and had that drawn. I can't remember the date of that. Maybe that was the 6th. I can't remember.
And was that testing done, and was there anything of concern?
No, that testing was done and it was normal.
And was Ms. Benning told that?
Yes.
And you recall what, if any, reaction she had to that?
Well, I think one of the nurses called her. I didn't call her for that, but.
Okay. Did you see her again?
I didn't see her after 20 weeks.
Okay.
After the 3rd visit.
All right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Third actual visit, not counting the ultrasound.
Right, so I saw her for her 3rd visit just after she'd had the ultrasound. She had the genetic testing drawn, but it wasn't back yet.
Okay. Well, tell us about that visit.
Oh, it was a good visit. I mean, I reassured her again that this likely was nothing to worry about, and she was just waiting for the testing to come back.
Okay. Did she arrive on time?
Mm-hmm.
And you know whether or not anyone came with her to this visit?
I don't recall for sure.
Now, if anyone would have come with her, would you have met that person?
Yes.
As opposed to them just staying in the parking lot, or is there a waiting room? And depending on who it is, can they actually come back and be with the patient?
Yes, there's a waiting room and then a sub-waiting room. And sometimes the nurse will room the patient and then we'll get the partner back or whoever's with them.
Again, on February the 10th, I was calling the 3rd visit. Was she progressing normally?
Yes.
And again, other than waiting for the genetic testing, were there any concerns about her ability at that time to carry the child to term?
No.
What was her demeanor, appearance about that visit?
It was normal.
Did she ever express any concerns or any hesitancy about wanting to have this child?
No.
Now, as part of the history that you obtained, are there certain things that an expectant mother should not do? As in drinking, drugs, probably any number of things.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And did you have those kind of discussions with Ms. Benning?
Yes, I always take a history to make sure they're not doing any drugs or alcohol or smoking or vaping. And I would note it if she was.
Was there any indication she was doing any of that?
No.
And at any time during the visits, did it appear that she was taking anything that you would have told her not to?
No.
You'll ask about the additional time. Did she ever miss any visit? Was there any visit scheduled that she missed?
No.
And did the name Blaise Taylor ever come up in any conversation or any history?
No.
Did that name mean anything to you at all?
No.
Did there come a time when you found, prior to what would have been her next scheduled appointment, that she had been admitted to Vanderbilt Hospital?
Yes. I don't remember when that was, but I got a call from one of the MFM doctors just to let me know. Said she was my patient.
And was there anything that you could do at that point?
No.
And as of, let's say, February the 25th, maybe ask you to do some math, but based upon calculations, what week would she have been approximately?
She was a little over 23 weeks. I think 23 weeks and 5 or 6 days.
And again, you've told us how that is estimated and how that is arrived at within a very narrow time frame. Is there an ability to judge that just upon observation of a patient?
You mean on exam?
By just looking?
No, it would be a very rough estimate.
That appointment that she was not able to make, what would have happened at that?
We would have measured the fundal height, listened to the heartbeat, and she would have had her gestational diabetes screening test.
You told us about her being advised of the ultrasound. Would she have known the sex of the child she was carrying?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a girl.
Did you know? I was going to say. Or if I could have this packet, which council has reviewed in the past.
Dr. Malali, you be handed a packet of materials.
As on paper clips, keep them separate, but could you review those and see if those appear to be the Vanderbilt University or basically your medical records of Miss Jade Benning and your treatment of her?
Yes, these are all my call records from our office, from my office.
Counter up to those is exhibit number 4.
Okay.
Let's make a collecting exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
Dr. Malali, as far as your treatment and care of Ms. Benning, was she doing all the right things to become a mother?
Yes.
Those are my questions.
More questions on behalf of Elizabeth?
Yes. If I could just have one more.
Dr. Malali, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good, thank you. I am Letitia Quinones Collins. Can I ask you a few questions? At any time you don't understand, let me know. I'll do my best to rephrase.
Okay.
Thank you. Just a few questions for you, Dr. Malali. Will you tell me, am I saying that right?
Malali.
Malali. Okay. Dr. Malali, can you tell me, have you been able to determine when Ms. Benning would have become pregnant based on your examination of her?
Well, by her dates, she would have conceived roughly 2 weeks after her first day of her last period.
Okay. And the first day of her last period was what?
I don't remember that. I have to look.
Will you trust me if I tell you that I just looked in the records that you just reviewed and presented to evidence? If that date was, patient's last menstrual period was September 12th, 2022?
Yes.
Do you see that there on page 1 of 8?
Yes.
And so then you would tell me then that her date of conception would have been 2 weeks after that?
Yes,
And that would put September has 30 days in it, does it not?
yes,
And if we put 14 days past that, that puts us at September 26th. Is that right?
yes,
So then we would be safe to say that by September 26th of 22, Ms. Benning would have been pregnant.
roughly, yes.
And what day was she in your office?
November 16th.
And that is the day that she was diagnosed, if that's the proper term of being pregnant.
Well, it was confirmed to be an intrauterine pregnancy.
Okay, confirmed to be pregnant. Fair enough. So would it then be safe to say that if September was the last time she had a period, she did not have a period then in October?
Correct.
Now, you stated on direct examination that the patient did not or was not involved in any drugs, to your knowledge. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, to be fair, you did not test her for drugs, did you?
No.
So you're only going off of what she's sharing with you. Is that right?
Yes, and somewhat by her vital signs and her demeanor.
But you'll agree with me that certainly someone's vital signs and demeanor is not indicative as to whether or not they're using drugs.
Not always, correct.
Would it be surprising to know that Ms. Benning had sent a message to Ms. Jade Jackson that she was doing so much Adderall and
I
alcohol?
object to the hearsay to be outside the scope of the witness's knowledge.
May I respond here?
And whether it's surprising or not is relevant.
What's your response?
Yes, there's just been an allegation that Ms. Benning has not done any drugs in her
Said
life.
to her knowledge. Now, they're objecting to hearsay.
It's in regards to
So
impeachment.
if you want to ask, does she have any information about that?
Dr. McLeod, did you know that, or would you have known that Ms. Benning had felt that she was doing so much alcohol and Adderall that it was
All right, I'll
causing?
sustain the objection.
Can I give you a hypothetical?
Yes.
If a patient,
Check this witness has not been tendered as an
Hypothetical
expert.
about what?
about a patient doing drugs or alcohol,
You want
Ma'am.
to ask this doctor if they want their patient using alcohol or Adderall while they're pregnant?
no, I don't. What I would like to do,
What's your question?
what I would like to
What's
do,
your question?
my question is whether or not, based on this doctor's statement, that Ms. Benning was not doing drugs and or alcohol, and that she would be able to tell by her vital signs.
Is that your question you're wanting to ask this lady?
The question I would like to ask her is whether or not someone feeling as though they're doing so much Adderall and alcohol, their body is shutting
She
down.
doesn't have any knowledge about that. And I've sustained the hearsay objection.
So am I not allowed to ask
I
this?
sustained the hearsay objection about your question.
Let me ask you in another way, if I may. Did Ms. Benning ever share with you that she was doing Adderall?
No.
Did she ever share with you that in November she was doing mushrooms?
No.
Did she ever share with you that she was doing alcohol?
No.
Did she ever share with you as her medical professional that she felt like she was doing so much Adderall and alcohol that her body was shutting down?
No.
If she would have shared that with you, would that change your previous statement in regards to that she was not doing any drugs?
If she told you she was using drugs, that would change your opinion about whether she was using drugs, is what she's asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair enough, thank you. What you've just represented to this jury, is it not, Dr. McLeod, was that based on your knowledge and representations to you by Ms. Bennings, she was not doing any drugs or alcohol at all. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other? Andy, read your record.
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
May this witness be excused?
Sure. You get your- Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break for lunch. Just remember what I said about not discussing the case, forming any opinion about it, the other admonitions I gave you yesterday. We'll get back here in 1 hour. You can step down the hall. All right, we'll get lunch recess till 1:15.
Sorry, y'all. I ran to the bathroom and forgot my phone. Didn't realize it was break time already. So what are we thinking so far? I don't understand why this defense attorney is so hard on people that have nothing to do but the doctor. The doctor of all people. Why is he being so rude? Why are you being so rude? I've been working on my plants today. A little bit with my back. I hurt my back yesterday. I don't know what the heck I did, but boy, does it hurt. Thinking about that before I forget. Did they take a lunch or what is this? Just a small break. Let me go back and look. Let me go back. Oh my God, they've been gone a while. I had to really go bathroom.
Said about not discussing the case, forming any opinion about it, the other admonitions I gave you yesterday. We'll get back here in 1 hour. You can step down the hallway.
Y'all, lunchtime. So I'm just gonna shut it down and come back at I don't know how far they're ahead of me. They're in Tennessee.
We'll get lecture session at 1:15.
Oh, so I wonder what time zone they're in.
Was that based on your knowledge and representations to you by Ms. Bennings, she was not doing any drugs or alcohol at all. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other? Andy, read your record.
No,
Okay.
may this witness be excused?
Sure. You get your Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, days ago, we're gonna break for lunch. Just remember what I said about not discussing the case, forming any opinion about it, the other admonitions I gave you yesterday. We'll get back here in 1 hour. You can step down the hall. We'll get lunch.